So Gerardo, thanks for joining us today. So Gerardo, you are the head of data science for Lantern AI, which is an exciting tech startup business, which is building an innovative data platform around private equity data. So it'd be really great to understand a little bit more about the work you're doing there today, and yeah, delve a little bit further into your role. Prior to Lantern, you have been a senior data professional in a multitude of different organizations and companies. You've also founded several of your own ventures as well, so clearly you have a very strong entrepreneurial streak and flair to your experience. So yeah, obviously a wealth of experience to share with us today. So really interested to delve into it and hear a little bit more about your journey as a data leader. But in the first instance, it'd be great to just hear a little bit about your background, how you got into tech and data in the first place, and yeah, we can go from there.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so basically, I can explain my background. So basically, as an undergrad, I did electrical engineering, but then from there I went to do my master's and PhD at MIT. There was in electrical engineering and computer science. It's just a big department that does pretty much everything. But one of the great things about MIT is that it allows you to go around different departments on the electrical engineering computer science arena. And one of the areas where I spent a couple of years was basically being a research assistant at the AI lab from MIT at that time. That was in the late 90s. And basically doing research on statistical learning analysis, etc. So that was pretty interesting. But at the end of my career in academia, I did my PhD. I decided to move into the industry. And one of the areas that was hiring a lot of people at the time was the finance industry, and London being a big area of finance. I decided to get a job in finance in London as a quantitative analyst initially, strategist. I started working at what was then Salomon Brothers, now is Citigroup.
Yeah,
working under Antti Ilmanen, who's it's a big name in asset asset return analysis. And then from there I started to drift more into the kind of fundamental portfolio management and strategy. But from Salomon I went to work at a hedge fund called Ruyken hedge fund, where they did macro hedge fund analysis. Then from there I moved to JP Morgan to be part of the CIO portfolio management, where they basically what they do the purpose was to invest the excess deposits of JP Morgan. And then around 2015, I started to get restless because I noticed that all this AI world was exploding again. Yeah, for a while, basically, from the late 90s to 2010, like that, we suffered this AI winter, basically, where all the theory that had been developed during the 80s and 90s was not being fully applied, and other techniques were more successful in getting results.
yeah.
But around 2010, basically you started to hear all this noise about companies like Google, well, what now is Google DeepMind, and how they have used all these techniques to create the machines that were able to beat the world champion of Go. I mean, that was a huge thing. Basically, we were under the impression that Go was one of these areas that were going to belong to the humans for a long period of time. And basically, I got really excited after that, and I decided to go back to my roots, and trying to understand what were the new theories and new things that have been developed since I left academia. And when I started to read all the papers, everything that was happening, basically, I kind of realized that most of the commercial applications still use the same theory from when I have learned with some a set of improvements, things that allow the machine learning system to be to be optimized in a more robust way. But the huge game changer was just the as more laws states, basically the huge increase in computing power on one hand, and the huge availability of data on the other hand. So on one hand, if you have a system like a closed game like a Go, now the computer power will allow you to generate millions of simulations that can be they used to train a huge neural network. On one side, on the other side, now the internet allowed people to have access to millions of images that then can be used to train a neural network to identify what is the meaning and of those images. And basically, that for me seemed to be the huge differentiator that allowed these techniques to really overcome the other traditional statistics techniques that so far had been better at doing the same tasks. But basically, give me the ability of both data and computer power. Basically, now you have the ability to create these huge systems that could really outperform the traditional systems. And this really goes back, then drills down to this point of data. So basically what I understood is that the theory seems to be common, the technique seems to be common. Basically, you can go now to Google Cloud and pretty much hire the cloud computing power to train whatever you want. But the key differentiator is the availability of data. So, and this is one of the things that the academic group at Stanford managed to do very well. Basically, one of the key points was that they decided to start this project in which they took millions of pictures and then they had the humans manually tagging all of them. And this is what gave them all the power to be able to again train these new systems. And we have the same thing now with these open image data sets, like the ones that are like the Lion data set. Basically, many of these data sets have been gathered now they have more than I think they have billions of classified and tag images, most of them by humans. And those some of them have been used by some companies just to be able to train the systems and then create all these commercially available tools that people now can use to create beautiful images like Stable Diffusion and Midjourney. So the key point was the data, and then when I was you asked me about my data journey. So basically, as I say, I had the academic background from my PhD. Then I had worked a lot in finance, and then I decided to go back and relearn everything, the latest coding technology that could be used on databases, etc. But what I decided to do then is basically to stop working at JP Morgan and then become acquainted on that. And the best way to get acquainted on that is either by joining a startup or becoming a consultant for hedge funds and banks. And I did both. I joined a startup. I became a consultant for funds on how they could use these techniques for their own purposes. The consultancy part only is under multiple layers of NDA, so I cannot talk a lot about that. But on the startup that I joined, basically what we're doing was to use the availability of financial data that is public, but it tends to be hidden under layers of very weird, very arcane kind of formatting, so that doesn't allow people to follow and understand how to take advantage of that. And basically, my goal at the time was take all this data and then translate into something that could be used by the front end desks of these hedge funds and banks. And that, in particular, I was pretty good at that because I was able to switch my hats, because I had been one of these users. I understood what they really wanted, which is one of the things that usually people in the industry need to know, which is that at the end of the day, the end user, they want to know how they're going to make money out of this. So this is a very straightforward kind of a question from hedge funds. They say, okay, well, all this is beautiful, but how am I making? What is the trade that's going to allow me to make money? And this is what they want to see. They want to see something very specific. So what is the action that's going to allow me to increase my profit? And at the end of the day, it must be something similar in every single industry. At the end of the day, you have to bring all this information and then provide a specific action that is going to optimize the profits. And that is something that is only possible to show to them if the data scientist understands the industry in which they are working. And this is probably one of the problems that young data science might have, because they are very well versed on the statistics, they're well versed in computing, but sometimes they don't understand the business, and vice versa, the business might not understand how they can use this data. So it's very important that, I mean, it's difficult to find people that are able to do both things at once. So instead of that, what is necessary is to create teams in which people can talk to each other, so they have a certain amount of understanding of one area, so they can talk to the other area about how to create a system that is able to optimize profits. But basically, going back to that, basically, I was in the middle of consulting for hedge funds and banks, and this is when I received a call at the beginning of last year, 2022, and I was approached by people from the Aztec Group, which is a fund administrator for the private equity industry, which is slightly different to what I was doing before, because I was dealing with on the public finance market side.
Yeah.
Aztec, being the administrator of the private equity fund managers, basically they deal with a different set of data, but they have access to this very, very important set of data that they thought that they could be beneficial for their clients to have the ability to analyze and again, at the end of the day, basically understand how to get insights and actions from their data. They wanted to start this process, and they had identified a couple of initial products that they wanted to launch. And but basically they realized that that they need to create a new team, a new group, and a new company outside of their organization that was able to do it in a much faster way. So pretty much like a corporate startup. When I was approached, and I realized the importance of the industry, and how many of the tools that we have seen in different industries could be applied to that one, I thought that this could become a great and tremendous opportunity. and I decided to join this group. So we started actually Lantern in around February of Lantern project around February of 22. Basically, the name already had been chosen by February 22, and in February 22 we'll also decided to call it like Lantern AI. But at the time when we had our brainstorm and discussions, when we chose AI, we meant it to be more like augmented intelligence, because our goal was to show to people, okay, well, AI, as is now thought, is this more of this artificial general intelligence of someone where you can ask and it's going to do anything.
Yep.
But we were thinking more of the augmented intelligence in the sense that you have humans. These humans need help, and we can have all these tools that will able to expand the abilities of this human, like an exoskeleton that allow people to to lift very, very heavy things and this kind of stuff, to be more productive in a way. So that was our thought. We were in stealth mode for a period of time. Basically, first starting the Jersey company, then the UK company. We decided to start with two very specific products for our clients, which are fund managers. And basically, we developed a fund monitoring tool and a portfolio monitoring tool, something that allows our clients to pretty much look at the data in a very user-friendly way that they already have available from Aztec, if they're Aztec clients. If they're not, we can onboard the data, and to gather data around the portfolio companies, again, in a much more user-friendly way, etc. And we started with these two products because Lantern identified that these products were the ones that have been requested by our clients from the beginning as being the most useful. But while we are using those as the rear, we call the rear view kind of tools, we are also working in developing all these front end and forward-looking tools. So now that we have access, now that we allow the clients to see their data in a user-friendly way, the other thing that we're doing is that we're making sure that we're connecting their data to multiple and heterogeneous sets of data, so that they can start to build a much higher and dense mosaic of their data. And in this sense, what we're doing right now is we're not only just connecting what they already have, but we're also connecting to all other data sets, alternative data sets. I mean, things ranging from companies' house data, open corporates. We're working in adding the connections to S&P, public market, etc. So we're becoming this hub of alternative data points that simply connect to their data, and then they're able to display the worldview of their investments into one single place. This on one hand, obviously, while we were doing all of this, we started to look at all the explosion of AI commercial models that is out there, and we started to get more ideas on how to use them for our systems. Yeah, and we have developed quite a few tools that are good at taking data, for instance, from new services and mapping that into what's going on into the portfolio companies. I mean, this is something that is pretty well used already for public market companies, because they have all these services to get to get the financial impact of news of public news on public companies. But yeah, this is something something that we are taking from the public market side, and we're bringing it to the private equity side, because we now that you have access to tools like like ChatGPT, for instance, you can use that to create these these tools as well, very in a very easy way, but also on the other hand, it has to be in a very robust and secure way, which is what we are, some of the data points that we're adding.
Nice, good stuff. Well, thanks for that. As an overview, that's really, really interesting insight. And what I love from, I guess, your background and now you're in this position that you're in with LanternAI, it'd be very difficult to think of anybody that would be better suited and better qualified for this particular venture than you, with your background of obviously having been in academia, get your PhD and then amassed a wealth of real world commercial experience in the finance space, and then been intrigued and interested about the advances of kind of data and AI, and sort of made you go back towards the research side. And it sort of feels like you've been swimming it between the two lanes for a while, and it feels like this opportunity now is kind of the amalgamation really of all of your experience kind of drawn together. Your sort of curious mindset, I suppose, combined with your knowledge, your excellent knowledge of the finance space, it must be kind of a perfect storm really for your experience in terms of the challenge that you're undertaking at the moment. So it'd be great to understand, I suppose, with this kind of platform that you're building, what have been kind of the unique challenges, within the sort of private markets, and what sort of things have you encountered, I suppose, challenges along the way when building this kind of platform?
Yes, yeah. So I mean, the very, very first challenge is basically, many times it's not the technical side, but rather the making sure that we keep our clients' data completely secure.
Yeah, I bet.
This is the main priority. All of our clients' data has to be completely secure. It has to be in an environment that is unhackable, that's completely secure. And basically that by itself, it limits technically what tools can you use at every single time. So there has to be a very strong process of determination of whether some tools can be brought or not into the secure environment. And this particular, for instance, is something extremely important. We are not using ChatGPT at the moment for our client data, because at the moment we're still waiting for the process of being approved by Microsoft to allow us to have a completely encrypted version of ChatGPT. At the moment, there are different layers of ChatGPT. For instance, one of them, if you use the free version, basically, as everybody knows, if it's free, basically it means you are the product. Mm-hmm. So if you use the free one, it means that all the data you are given to them is they can use it for anything. So first, this is a big no for us. We make sure that everyone is aware that they should not be entering any kind of proprietary information into ChatGPT in this way.
Another Samsung.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So so there's another layer, but basically where you can have access to a paid version that only has a trust and safety released by Microsoft. So basically, they will only access your data if they believe that you might be using it for malicious purposes.
Yeah.
But even that one is not good enough for our clients. So we're just waiting for the fully encrypted one. Basically, to go through that, you have to go through a very strict vetting process from Microsoft. So, and we're happy to do that because we want to make sure that our clients are fully assured that we're not just sending their data to different places. So that actually becomes the biggest challenge. So it's not a technical challenge. It's not whether we can use this or that technique, whether we can connect to this or that data source. It's basically just making sure that we do the best to safeguard the data that we have been entrusted.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the similar way that we do the best to make sure that all the data, all the alternative data sources that we gather come from lawful processes. So there should be, and this is something that some AI companies are suffering now, basically, where they train their systems with data that has some copyright, etc. So we make sure that every alternative data source that we have basically is fully vetted and has no copyright issues. So in a sense, those become our largest, our biggest concerns, to make sure that we always follow the correct path. And then it's only after that we have to see which selection of tools can be used in a secure environment. On the development team, we as long as it's completely segregated from the client data, we are able to go in a much faster pace. So we have a set of tools or demos that we think are going to be passed through the production side. But basically, we need to make sure that all this process is done in the most robust and safe way.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine the security and the data privacy element of things is absolutely key. With this kind of platform, but it sounds like you've clearly taken a very robust approach to it. And I guess on the other side of that, once you kind of have the fully encrypted solution, and you sort of make sure you're really ticking all of those boxes from a data privacy standpoint. What are you most excited about in terms of I guess the evolution of data science and AI in the last few years? What are you most excited about in terms of an opportunity as to how you can use that with the platform? What sort of things are you really looking forward to and excited to build and integrate into the platform?
Yes, well, one thing that I really the more excited about is basically this ability that ChatGPT and other large language models have to translate between domains. And this is where I really think has a huge potential. It's the ability to translate between natural language into code. That has huge implications, because at the moment, as you can see, there tends to be this bottleneck where you have people on the business side that have questions. Then you have the data on the other side, and the bottlenecks tend to be the data science, basically the person who's able to take the natural language query and say, okay, well, I'm going to convert that into an SQL query. And usually this tends to be a big bottleneck. Usually the time of the data science is very limited, and people just keep adding more and more human translators. But basically, if designed correctly, you need to do a fair amount of prompt engineering, but if designed correctly, basically you can create systems that are able to translate the business language queries automatically into whatever, and then again with the correct safeguards to make sure that there is no code injection, malicious code injection, etc., which requires a fair amount of overhead. Basically, with the correct safeguard, but then you can allow the business side to ask the questions directly of the data, and this is where I think you can ask questions. They can ask to generate tables, etc. And this is where I find that where I'm really excited, because you can generate you can pretty much increase the productivity of the data science by a factor of 10, something like that. So basically, not only you allow the business people to connect directly to the data, but also the data science increases their productivity by 10 times. And if everything is done correctly, basically, you can start to improve everybody's productivity by a factor of 10. This is some of the things that are really exciting. And I have to point out that this translation, this is where I believe that there is the least risk, where generative AI tends to be flawed is more in when people try to generate new questions, and they try to generate new ideas, because this is where the systems then tend to pretty much hallucinate and create new facts and new things that can be wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and this is the part of the data science where they have to make sure that the questions that are done to the large language model are more a sense of translation between one domain to the other, where there's still a risk that they're going to invent some bits, or that the translation is not done in a fully accurate way, just like Google Translate doesn't translate on a 100% basis from one language to the other. But as we have seen, I mean, Google Translate has become extremely powerful nowadays. So it's going to be the same for AI. So the ability to translate from one domain to the other is the one that it really excites me.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that, and just sort of hearing you talk through there, it feels like the possibility is almost endless in terms of where you could go with it, and obviously where you could take the platform, which I guess is the exciting part of it, really. But no, that all sounds amazing, and I think I can definitely see the gap in the market for Lantern and the product, and it seems like a really exciting venture that you're embarking upon. And obviously it's still very early days, right? And already we're sort of talking about the roadmap of the product and where it can go. So yeah, it feels like an incredibly exciting time for you and for the business. Let's talk a little bit about you and your leadership style. I guess, like you said, you've come from academic background. You've been very successful in the financial world. You've then sort of gone more into a data leadership position. But clearly you'll have a wealth of different perspective from different domains that have probably shaped you as a tech professional and leader over your career. So interested to understand, in the position you're in now as head of data science, what do you feel are some of the most valuable qualities that you can possess as a tech and data leader?
Yeah, well, to be a senior leader, from my perspective, I think the most important thing is to understand the business.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, everyone should be aware, okay, well, the purpose of a company is just to provide dividends to the shareholders, either dividends or to be able to invest those dividends in a superior way to the market, so that the shareholders are able to get capital gains. So once you understand that this is the whole purpose of the company, then you have to always understand how to allow the rest of the teams to be able to increase their profits. If you have that in mind, then you understand that all the analysis you're doing pretty much has to be geared towards solving the problems that the front end people have. And you have to make sure that you are able to use any technique. I mean, it can range from a very simple one. It can be just a linear regression to very complex ones like ChatGPT. But you always have to keep an open mind on the technique. One of the biggest problems are people who come from academia, who have been trained who have worked a lot in a very specific area. And because there is this kind of believe that you have to use what you learned,
Yeah.
and they try to apply it into a business and say, okay, well, because I learned let's say quantum mechanics, and I need to make sure that I use quantum mechanics into and apply that to try to forecast the price of this and that. And they might fall into this trap of trying to use this technique, which may not be the best one, when sometimes just a linear regression could have worked better than what they have.
Yeah.
And they might just not be able to deliver the best the best service to the company. So having a full understanding of what of the industry, and what not only what the industry is doing, but also looking at making sure that you understand commercially what all the competitors are doing. And this is something that when you're an entrepreneur, you're always looking to see what the competitors are doing. Again, one of the main risks on the startup industry, and one of the main red flags, is when a company tells you, okay, well, we have no competitors, we're unique. That usually signals that there's no market.
Yeah.
So if there are competitors, that means that no one is selling anything there.
Yeah.
It's always better to have competitors, because that signals that, yes, there is a market for that product. Therefore, and if you can improve on that, then you'll make sure that you'll get something.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I think that's a really, really great point. Well, two great points there. I think you're, and I couldn't agree more. I think, one of the things I look at over my 15 years of recruitment, of when people are sort of making that transition into more senior positions, it is that kind of more helicopter overview of actually what's, like, say, spotting the business problem, understanding the business problem, and then sort of retrospectively thinking of the most elegant solution to that problem, versus at a more junior level, where people, like you say, have developed a particular skill set or a particular toolkit or a certain technique, and then, like say, just trying to apply that in every single guise moving forward. So I think it's that level of kind of pragmatism of, let's actually, is this the best tool for the job, and is it the right solution, that I see as one of the key things really of moving into more senior positions. So yeah, I think that's a very, very good point. Okay, awesome. Well, I think Jorge, I think it's been fantastic chat today. Really enjoyed hearing more about your role at Lantern, and about the platform, and yeah, I can see it going on to be extremely successful and achieving great things. But I like to sort of draw to a close with every episode that we do by asking our guests for their one favorite piece of advice. So if there was one piece of advice that you've been given throughout your career that served you well, that you would pass on to your fellow human, what would that be for you?
Yeah, piece of advice. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm trying to figure out
No
someone.
rush. I'm sure you'll come out with some magic.
I think probably the one is that I receive from from my father, is basically, it's better to regret having done something that to regret not having done it.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's a very nice bit of advice that transcends industries and yeah, domains, isn't it? And I totally agree with you. I think that the key to success is the way we frame failure. And obviously, do you look at something, well, I've tried that and it didn't work, and see that as a failure? Or do you look at it as, well, right, it might not have worked, but I don't regret it because I've actually narrowed down my focus, or I've learned from it, taken away the key learns from it. And I think you're dead right. A lot of people never take action on lots of things because they're worried that it might not work out, and then they've got to live with that regret. But like I say, what have you got to lose often by trying it? And you take that learning with you. So yeah, I think that's a great way to end the episode, and a lovely sort of piece of advice. So Well, nothing else remains but to say thanks again for coming on and being such a great guest. Really enjoyed the chat, and yeah, let's definitely we'll get another episode in the diary very soon. But yeah, wish you all the very best with your continued role at Lantern, and yeah, I'm sure you'll go on and achieve bigger and better things as time goes on.
Excellent. No, thank you. Thank you, Guy.
I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, we will. Bye.